please normalize men coming up to women again. I'm so annoyed that the feminist movement and all these like very entitled females now made it like almost basically impossible for a man to never not seem creepy. And I'm just like, here, like, what the heck? If you don't come up to me, I think you're a weak man. And you may not be, you probably aren't, because it'd be impossible for every man to be a weak man, especially at the gym that I go to. But, damn. The feminists really, really ruined many things. Shame on you, feminists.
You guys notice that she's calling out the feminist movement, but at the same time, she's trying to insult men. Like, come on, like, what are we doing here? I just find it interesting that these modern women are now calling out the nonsense from the feminist movement, right? But they weren't calling it out years before, when men have been saying that's the part of the problem, right? They now want to call the feminist movement out when it's too late, okay? When more and more men are walking away and valuing their peace, right? So I remember they used to call men incels because they didn't necessarily want to approach women, or, you know, they didn't want to possibly get into relationships or really deal with women. But it's not just, you know, a guy that's 400 pounds, you know, sleeping in his mom's basement with Cheeto stains on his t-shirt, right? But you got men that are actually established, men that are working on themselves, building themselves up, men that are in shape, making over six figures, right? You have those groups of men, top 10, top 20 percentile of men, that are saying no to relationships. They're saying no to dealing with a modern woman. In fact, they rather watch paint dry than to deal with these modern women. So, hey, we all know the numbers. By 2030, you know, 45 to 50% of these modern women are going to be single and childless. They're going to continue to make these kind of videos. And, you know, hey, it might be too late. It might be too late. Okay, you're going to have to approach men and put yourself out there.
How long do I have to keep doing to make money off of this, bro? I have 100,000 followers on Instagram. I have 50,000 followers on TikTok. Nobody want to give me money. I don't want to start an OnlyFans. My music career is trash. I have 40 monthly listeners. What the?
Stop it. Get some help.
I don't know. Get a job, right? Get a job where maybe you're subsidizing your career when it comes to music, and go from there, right? But to crash out and to talk about no one's giving you money, like, why should somebody just give you money just because, right? I mean, this is the world that we're living in when it comes to model women. They have 100,000 followers, 50,000 people on TikTok. They automatically assume people just need to give them money. And this is why social media is not a real place, because they think that clout, fame, and attention is going to necessarily pay the bills, when in reality, a lot of them don't bring any value to the table, right? Besides being half naked on Instagram. I mean, what other value do you offer?
This fool gonna tell me I got an attitude because I want a man that's 40 and up with no kids. And he got all these kids.
You do got an attitude.
Don't.
You do got an attitude.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
So
It ain't nothing wrong with me wanting a man with no kids so we can have kids.
you want a seasoned man. You want a seasoned man, 40 and up, with no children.
That's right.
Like,
that's right.
good luck
that's
with
right.
finding that, because
I will.
You wait
I
till
will.
but you
I
wait.
don't want no man
So wait a
with
minute.
a whole bunch of kids
So
already.
Sean, you wait till we get on the. So we get to this date. We've been talking for a week
I
on the
don't
phone.
care.
You didn't say nothing about no kids. Nothing
That's
like
why
that.
we on a date. We
Okay,
getting to
so
know
we on
each
a date.
other. Now you know what I want.
Okay, and you recording? You how old and you recording?
That's right.
You
I'm
how
recording.
old and you recording?
Because I want everybody to
you
see
recording me?
that this man calling me, telling me that
you are.
I'm
You
tripping.
Are. You are.
Just
You
because
You are.
my standards
You never,
is I
ever-
want a man that
the
don't
percentage
have no kids.
The percentage of you finding a man with no kids, 40 and up, is super low.
No, it's not.
Good luck with that.
No, it's not.
Good luck
No,
with
it's
your
not.
journey.
No, it's
you
not.
wasted
No,
my
it's not.
time.
No,
and
you
ain't
wasted my time.
You wasted my time.
He wasted my time.
Hey, you know what? It's whatever.
You can leave. You can leave. leave.
Oh, so now you
you
got
can
attitude.
leave.
So now you got
No,
attitude.
I ain't got no attitude.
Okay, well,
you
let's
don't want
see.
to tell me I got attitude,
well,
but
let's
that
see
don't
how you
mean I
feel.
got an attitude.
Okay, well, let's
Just
see
because
when
you
you
say
I
I
bet
got
you
an
won't find a
attitude.
man with kids.
I bet you I
40 and
will.
up.
I
You
bet
won't
you I
find it.
will.
All right,
I don't want
whatever.
no man that got
You know
all
what?
these kids
I don't know where
hopping
you going.
around.
I bet you better
Where you
load.
going? Where you
What
going?
you mean where I'm going?
Where you going? Why you getting up? Where you going?
That
Where you
disqualify
going?
me.
We
I
can't
have
hold a
children
conversation.
that I love.
We
Yeah,
can't
can
hold a
have
conversation.
We can have a conversation.
You was acting
but-
all like you
no,
like
I'm
me
seasoned.
and this and that,
I'm
and now
seasoned.
now
I
you
have
finna get up
children,
and
baby.
leave.
I'm seasoned and I have children.
That don't mean you seasoned.
Good luck and goodbye.
Well, goodbye.
Walk away. Leave her right where she is. Get up and walk away. And this is why it's so important. We've talked about to keep your initial investment low when it comes to these model women, right? You taking her on a fancy date, this, that, and the third, and you realize that she's for the streets or she's self-entitled, what have you. You want to know exactly who you're dealing with. You really do. And the fact that she's talking about she wants a man that's 40 plus that has no kids. It seems like she's in her 50s. Okay, no disrespect to her, but so hey, if these older modern women want to die on this hill when it comes to their unrealistic expectations, it is what it is.
I'm sorry, but Gen Z men are gonna die alone. I was texting this guy and I was telling him like music is one of the most important things to me. And so he asked me what my favorite song was and I sent it to him and he was like, oh, I didn't like it. I could barely get through the first minute. I had to turn it off. Thanks, you're blocked now. Like, y'all do not know how to speak to women. Why would you say that? And I know y'all's dads and y'all granddads were some dogs, but they knew how to speak to women. They knew how to talk to them. They were liars and cheaters. But clearly they knew what the they were doing because they had like 5 different families. Y'all need to do some consulting because y'all not getting bitches this way. I'm sorry.
What? Am I missing something? So because he didn't like the song that you liked, you blocked him? like what are we talking about? This is a classic example of some of these modern women. They need validation for everything. For everything. Right? So you're basically setting him up where he'll just lie to you. He'll just flat out lie to you, tell you exactly what you want to hear, clap the cheeks, and then keep it moving. And then they're going to boo, whine, and complain at the fact that all men are dogs, men are not serious, this, that, and the third, when you're basically putting him in a position where he can't even keep it real with you. So listen, you did him a favor by blocking him, by showing your true colors and how insecure you really are.
So today is my husband's funeral, which unfortunately I cannot make because obviously I am busy here in Tunisia. I would have loved to have gone. We were together for 17 years. Unfortunately for me, he did decide to die on the week I had planned to come on holiday. So I did make the decision not to go because, you know, I need a holiday at the end of the day, and my holiday is way more important than sitting in a church watching people cry. I would love to give him a good send off, so I'm going to get absolutely drunk tonight with this new guy that I met, and I'm going to raise a glass for you, Jeremy, because you were an amazing husband, very rich. I can't wait to do the will reading when I'm home. I have made sure I'm going to be home in time to do the will reading because I would not miss that for the world, because obviously I am due to get a lot of money. And that's a very, very important thing to me. So I hope you have a good funeral today, Jeremy. Love you. Mwah. All good things have to come to an end.
Absolute demon. I don't know if this is rage bait, a skit. It doesn't look like a skit. I'm trying to make sense of this. Demon. Absolute demon.
So I made a video yesterday about the rising unemployment rates amongst Black women, and the response that I got was definitely very alarming. There were a lot of negative, comments, and most of these comments were really coming from Black men who were saying things like it's because Black women have bad attitudes, it's because DEI, it's because AI is taking over, and many of which dismiss the whole thing, like who cares, nobody cares, it's time for Black women to be taken down a notch. And it was really alarming because the point of me posting that statistic was to get us to think critically about what's really happening.
I made a video last week and there was a woman in the comments said, majority of Black men are in jail. Keyword majority or most. She said most black men are in jail. This is the type of rhetoric that black men have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, right? You have black women getting on the internet every single day, bashing black men, talking about most black men are in jail, they're no good, they're this and that, when that's the furthest thing from the truth. In fact, let's go ahead and pull up some numbers here, right? Black men and black women ages 15 to 49 who had a biological child. 46% of black men have at least one biological child. 61% of black women have one or more biological children. So in other words, 54% of black men have no kids. 39% of black women have no kids. So that is a 15% gap in regards to black men not having kids in comparison to black women, right? So, I mean, hey, what this tells me is that these black women, or some black women at least, are choosing men that have kids by multiple women, okay, Pookies and Ray Rays. In fact, you have more black men getting married in comparison to black women. Huh. So wait a minute, you're telling me that more black men possibly want to get married that are actually getting married? Not to mention they have lower divorce rates in comparison to black women? Huh. Interesting. So what this tells me, just kind of analyzing this, not only are black men protecting their peace, but they're also protecting their seat. Okay, they're being responsible in regards to the decisions that they make in comparison to some of these black women out here. Okay, and you have more black men getting married. They're choosing and want to get married, despite them choosing black women at an 85% clip. If push comes to shove or they're disrespected, they would have no issues dating outside the race, right? So they're finding peace and getting married outside their race, and they're staying married. So again, the numbers are indicating that not only are black women having kids at a 61% clip, they're choosing the same guy. They're choosing the same guy. They're bypassing the guys that don't have any kids. Okay, the guys that they consider to be lames and this, that, the third, because some of the talking points for some of these modern women is that there's no good black men out here, right? They feel that they have to do it alone. And that's just not the case. Black women don't have to do it alone. In fact, they're bypassing the men that are out here, able-bodied, that have no kids, and they're choosing their degrees and Pookie and Ray Ray. So, hey, the black women that get it, that have no issues saying that they need a man, they want to get on a man's program, a man that has a plan. Those women, they're gonna be just fine. Okay, the women that are boo-whining, complaining, talking about their degrees, their diplomas, all black men are in jail, this, that, and the third, trying to bash black men. Yeah, those particular black women are going to have issues here. So, hey, this is not to necessarily bash, black women per se, or to divide us even more. This is simply to lay out the numbers, right? Lay out what's actually happening out here. Probably make better decisions, right? Make better decisions to get better outcomes.
If the only thing that man can do for you is love you, you have 48 hours to wrap it up. Do you hear me? I want to know what bills you can pay with love, and I will actually wait. I want you to try and ring up your internet provider and say, hey, I don't have no money, but I got love. And tell me how ridiculous you think that sounds. And I wanted to start out by saying this is not an I hate men page, but it's not an I love men page either. And I feel the need to remind everybody that men are transactional. And the only way for you to win in this game is for you to also be transactional. I genuinely believe that romance is a ploy to get women to lower their standards. I'll be honest. Because men are not looking for romance. They do not value romance. They value a good woman. They look at a woman, they think, how can I benefit from this woman? She might not be the hottest, but she might cook and clean for free. She'll birth 5 kids for me for free. As long as
I give her some affirmations and rub her back and tell her I love her, she's going to stay as long as I need her to stay. I need you to become more transactional. I'm literally begging you. And I feel the need to reiterate, because there's always going to be someone under my comments saying that, you know, love is important. Of course it's important, but how important is it to you? Because at this point, being with a man is risking your life. It's actually risking your life. You're putting your life on the line to be with a man. So is love enough for you? Or is it something that you can give to yourself? Please remember that feminism is practiced differently by everybody, and you are going to give birth to his future children. So you do get to demand what you want. You get to demand what you want. You're the prize.
Nasty work. Absolutely nasty. She's literally begging women to be more transactional. That's what's happening out here in 2025. She wants more women to view men as walking wallets, to beg more, to demand money. Right? Is this what's happening out here? You can't make this stuff up. You can't. And then they wonder why they're single AF. Then they wonder why black men are walking away. Then they wonder why, when they get fired and laid off from jobs and black men don't give a damn in regards to what they got going on. Yeah, then they get online boohooing and complain at the fact that, you know, no one's showing empathy in regards to their situation, right? It's just fascinating how that works. When they got their degrees, their diplomas, they're employed at the time, everything's gorgeous. Everything is lovely in regards to them begging for money and being boss babes, independent, this, that, and the third. The moment shit hits the fan, and when up goes down, you know, left goes right, right goes left, yeah, then they want to get online and talk about where are all the black men that don't support black women. Interesting.